I was working with a client today and something dawned upon me. It has to do with how our brains are designed to heal and to recover from stress and trauma, traumatic events, and how we as people in general, but especially among Christian circles, we as Christians tend to respond to other people in ways that limit our ability to benefit from the way God designed our brains to heal. I'm in the middle of preparing next videos, and there's a lot of content that I want to create around things that we say and how the message and the meaning becomes problematic and harmful, hurtful in different ways. I've already done some of these in a series that I started called Oh, the Things We Say, which I may revamp and redo, but there's a lot of videos that I want to do on that particular topic. I'm also working on video content in response to some of the Daystar audio releases that came out with the focus of what is happening in the spiritually abusive patterns of language and action and how that is damaging, manipulative, and harmful, because that is happening in so many different places. I've done one video on it and I want to do a follow-up video. If my content is helpful for you, I would love it if you like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell for when new videos come. It helps me know that you're enjoying this content, that it's helpful, and also lets YouTube know to push this out to other people so that they can see it. Let's talk about what happens when people are hurting. They're struggling. They're struggling to maybe say what they need to say. Stress and traumatic events, especially when they've built up in our bodies and our brains, can really impact our ability to move along in a story without repeating things over and over, to say the things that we need to say the things that make sense, to even keep a story logical, sensical. Is that a word? Sensical? Trauma and stress just do such a number on our brains and our bodies. As a therapist, particularly one who specializes in trauma and emotional spiritual abuse, church hurt and church harm, I like helping clients build new pathways in their brain, which happens through a lot of different things that we do. But I also notice that there are ways of being with one another that we as people, just humans, people in the body of Christ, could be doing and often miss. And they could be powerfully impactful for the healing process of other people. And maybe we just don't know it. Maybe we don't know how to do it. Maybe we don't know that it's that powerful. And that's what was striking me as I noticed that some of the techniques that I was using with some of my clients is to help them step outside the depth of their situation. So the brain is ruminating, let's say. The brain is stuck on the story. It's not getting the story out. And the emotions are heightened and everything feels really intense. And then you start to feel more and more disconnected from yourself, from other people. So all kinds of things are getting stirred up. Let's just put it that way. And it's difficult to know what to do, and it's difficult to be with people the way that you want to be. What can be helpful is to help the brain step out of that, and we can do that in a couple of different ways. One is to notice what's happening as an observer of our thoughts, an observer of the distress, or notice the distress and the thoughts as how they show up in the body. And we start using different parts of our brain when we're noticing and naming what is happening. That is different than the thought cycles that go on and on and on with a message that defines who we are, what we can't have, what we don't have, what's never going to be, and like the way that those go to extremes of things being all good or all bad. But when we can engage in activities that help our brains move in a different way, we're also building new pathways for the brain. We are building new ways of dealing with the distress, the thoughts, and the emotions. It takes compassion for ourselves, curiosity for ourselves, to be able to even step back and simply notice and name what's happening inside of us. Sometimes that takes quiet pauses. Pause right now with me and just check in and notice what you notice about your thoughts. Are they fast? Are they stuck? If you could see your thoughts, what would they look like? Notice what you notice about your response, even to hearing me say, notice your thoughts. Does it feel okay to do that? Does it feel difficult or challenging? Is there a part of you that says, what the heck? Nope, not going to go there. Brain's got to keep going faster and faster and faster. I can't slow down long enough to notice my thoughts. We're just noticing. That is one example of an exercise of stepping outside to notice and to name that this is happening. Name that it's difficult. Name that my thoughts are racing. The way I was thinking about this with regard to how we are impacted in Christian communities and limit our own healing, limit connection with other people, and block God's design in our brains is that we don't leave space for people to process or to move their brain in a different place where they're noticing just what's happening, because we're not curious. Maybe we're not asking, what is it like to be you in this moment? It sounds like you're feeling really scared. Am I right in that? Or you don't even have to ask, am I right? If you start naming for another person what might be happening with that place, that from that place of kindness, from that place of kindness, compassion, curiosity, and a desire for connection, you may just find that the other person breathes, pause, notices, oh yeah, I totally resonate. Or they immediately just feel that connection burst of energy that says, oh man, yes, you got it. Thank you for naming what it is I'm experiencing. This opportunity to notice and name, to me, is a place of grace, a way of experiencing God's grace in our lives. Because so many of us are worked up trying to get it right, trying to figure out the answer, trying to find the solution, trying to make sure that we fix whatever is broken so that we can have what we're supposed to have or do the right thing, and because God's supposed to give us this if we do that, or he won't accept us if we fail. Maybe we don't even think that, but a deeper part might actually believe that. And I believe that God offers grace to slow down and pause, to notice, to even notice that it's hard to notice. And in that place of grace, in that space, we can have different experiences. We can have different experiences in our body and in our mind and in our spirit, that we can be okay in a moment where part of our body is signaling that we're not going to be okay. It may not be the thought that we have. We may not think that there's a lack of safety feeling inside of us, or that we're not feeling secure in a moment. But this is an underlying mechanism that's happening, that part of our body and brain is lit up trying to protect ourselves, to find safety, to find security, to fight against potential harm or threats to emotional safety even. And we're used to that pattern. So when we step back, we name and we notice, we get to have an opportunity to experience, even just if it's a brief moment, when I don't have the answer, when I don't have it figured out, when I don't even know what's going on and I'm spinning, but now I can pause and just notice that I'm spinning. We have a different experience. that helps us know we can be okay. It's a little difficult for me to describe this because generally when I talk about things like this, when I talk about our body's responses and how that starts to shift, what I notice in other people tends to be this response of, oh, I don't feel fear or I don't feel scared. But the reality is that when we have this anxious drive, not all the time, but a lot of times this anxious drive, there is a fear sense that is rooted in a lack of safety or security. And that could have started in childhood. It could have started with well-meaning good parents in childhood. But we as believers don't even allow space for that fear to be part of it because we say we shouldn't have fear. Fear's a liar. Shut it down. No fear. Or anger. Nope, can't be angry. Christians aren't supposed to be angry. We got to shut it down. And so it's easier for us to simply say, nope, I don't have that fear. No, I'm not actually experiencing that. And deny a lower level, like deeper level experience that is the reality in our bodies that's impacting our mind. So this place of grace is a place where there's tension, where there's uncertainty, where there's not knowing what's going to happen, but we're trying something different. We're leaning into a new way of operating with our thoughts and our feelings and just that whole sense of not knowing how to figure it out. My hope and prayer is that in the Christian communities, we can pause a little more for ourselves and with one another. Because this place of grace is a space that we can offer with other people by simply being with them, maybe quietly, while they're processing something, while they're thinking through all the myriad of thoughts. We can ask simple questions. What's that like for you? Or say small statements like, that sounds really difficult. It makes sense you'd be angry. That can validate the experience they're having so that their nervous system can start to settle down so that they can have a new experience. And I call these growth experiences. It's actually based off of research called Corrective emotional experiences, plays a big part in this. And so you can look up Bruce Ecker if you're interested, if you're in the geeky brain science interest. But growth experiences are opportunities for us to have a new experience from what we anticipate is going to happen, what part of us fears is going to happen, even if we don't think we have the fear, but like part of us is responding because of something being stirred up, is trying to shut it down or not sure how to react to things, anxiety is getting stirred up. But when we have a different experience with people, with being able to get through hard things, with even through facing the reality that really stinks to face. It's building pathways in the brain and it's shifting things internally for us, maybe bit by bit by bit by bit. And all those bits add up. They all add up. God designed your brain to experience healing. Our brains have been shaped by what we've experienced in the past and different seasons of stress, traumatic seasons, or seasons where we had a need, a God-given need that went unmet. It shapes our brain. It shapes our sense of safety and security and of connection and belonging with other people. Attachment theory goes into this pretty significantly, how infants are shaped and their brains are shaped and changed based off of whether or not the caregiver provided nurturing feedback, such as when a baby cries and they say, oh, I know you're sad, and they're with them in that sadness and they help them regulate their emotions, whether or not their physical and emotional needs were met. All of those experiences shape how we respond today, shape our ability to be who we are designed to be. And the good news is that brain science, neuroplasticity, and just what we know of God, His design is to redeem, to restore, to bring new things about. We may not ever experience full healing in this life, whether it's a physical ailment or the wounds that we've experienced in our lives and completely shift into this perfect version here on this earth. But we can experience healing. We can experience new things. We can have growth experiences that build on each other and continue to gain momentum. Even when we face new hard things, we start to build new patterns and ways of approaching that so that we have more capacity to navigate through it when it happens. This place of grace in Christian communities, when it comes to the brain science that I'm talking about today, this observant stance, this place of offering curiosity and compassion, I see that as an opportunity for each of us to consider, how can I be an observer that is kind, that is curious, that is compassionate, as I am with this other person who is hurting, who is confused, who is angry, who is processing difficult things. I don't have to have answers, but I can be present. Notice, name, observe. These are key points from this short little video. I would love to hear if something stood out to you. How would you like to apply this? Would you like to apply this with someone today, tomorrow, in the coming days? Just let me know if this is helpful. And I'll be doing more videos in the coming weeks on what I mentioned about different phrases and sayings. I've already done some. I let go and let God. I'm just being honest. Forgive and forget. I think some of those. But I have a list of other phrases. If there's some that you want me to tackle, I'm going to be doing that. And I'll also be doing the follow-up video on discussing patterns of spiritual manipulation, to dive into some more of what we're seeing and how it's damaging, and other concerns that I have about some of the messaging that leaves some people in a position of, one, being really stirred up from what they're hearing, but two, just that aloneness that they've already experienced. I want us as the body of believers, to be the body, to be part of a body that cares for one another emotionally, relationally, and spiritually. That is not just telling people what to do or talking to the head, but meeting them at a heart level and being with them. So for today, that is through observance, noticing, and naming. If you want to take this further and you want to apply this personally, or you know of somebody who would like to be part of a group led by a trauma-informed therapist, that'd be me, I would love to invite you to the Growing You membership community. You can find the links below. If we're not open right now, just get on the wait list and you'll get notified the next time the doors are open. But in this group, we learn more and more principles about growth and how growth happens, discover a strong core sense of self without being prideful and arrogant. And what does that look like? And how can we honor ourselves while honoring God and other people? We lean into topics like attachment and how we connect relational nutrients, which is a term that Dr. John Townsend uses, boundaries, setting boundaries, communicating healthy boundaries, communicating in difficult situations, navigating difficult emotions and upheavals of emotions, building emotional resilience. All of those things are part of the Growing You community. Not only are you learning it through the videos and through the group calls, but you have opportunities for growth experiences in the group. I hope that you'll join us, and I look forward to seeing you in the next videos. Take care.